And that on January 31st, 10:32 p.m., 2020. So right at the get-go, Dr. Fauci gets an email from Dr. Christian Andersen, which says virus looks engineered, virus not consistent with evolutionary theory. The next day, he gets another email from Dr. Gary. Now, these are doctors he's handed out our tax dollars to over the years. Dr. Gary's email says, I don't know how this happens in nature. It would be easy to do in a lab. That same day, February 1st, 2020. So again, right at the start, that same day, Dr. Fauci organizes a conference call. Him and Dr. Collins get on there with Dr. Gary, Dr. Anderson, all these other virologists. They get on there, and 3 days later, everybody changes their story.
Yeah, that was Ohio Congressman, Chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan, on Sunday Morning Futures with me yesterday, telling me he thinks Dr. Anthony Fauci was trying to intentionally disprove the Wuhan lab leak theory because of the gain-of-function research being done there and the fact that his agency was paying for it. This House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus holding the first hearing on the virus origins on Wednesday. Joining me now is the Gatestone Institute Senior Fellow, Gordon Chang. He's the author of The Coming Collapse of China and the Great U.S.-China Tech War. Gordon, the plot thickens here. Initially, the scientists all said it looks like it was engineered in a lab. And then, of course, Fauci moves quickly to try to come up with new research to prove otherwise. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Fauci had certainly a lot of incentive to change the narrative. Got to remember, in 2014, President Obama imposed a moratorium on federal funding of gain-of-function research in the United States. So what did Fauci do? He started funding gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And we know that, Maria, because there are two published papers, one from 2016, the other from 2017. And both of these papers are from researchers at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. They both describe gain-of-function research, and both of them specifically acknowledge funding from Fauci's National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Fauci has a lot to explain because basically what he did was he helped the Chinese Biological Weapons Lab develop the technology on coronavirus that eventually killed 6.8 million people outside China, plus a lot more inside the country.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see this because he basically didn't want to look bad, that he's over there directing money to the EcoHealth Alliance, which ultimately sends the money to Wuhan. So he doesn't want to look like he was part of the reason for COVID-19, so he just masks the actual true origin.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
Wow.
And we see that this relationship with EcoHealth is really, really suspicious in a number of different aspects.
What do you mean?
Well, the funding of EcoHealth was covered up to the extent Fauci could. Obviously, there was a money trail there. But Peter Daszak of EcoHealth Alliance was really very close with Wuhan Institute, and he's not been very forthcoming about his relationship. And he's been caught in a number of deceptions. When you put all those trail of deceptions together, it shows that Fauci really had a lot to hide.
Yeah, really interesting. Meanwhile, we're learning so much about the Communist Party of China and its goals. You've written about this many, many years ago, and we've been on this for many years on this program. But finally, it looks like some in corporate America are beginning to get it, are beginning to understand the national security risks, and it's not just about the greenbacks making money in China. We had billionaire investor Mark Mobius on last week. He was raising a red flag about actually doing business in China, Gordon. I'm wondering what you feel about corporate America, and are they actually beginning to pull back? Here's Mark Mobius with us last week. Watch.
I'm personally affected because I have an account with HSBC in Shanghai. I can't get my money out. The government is restricting the flow of money out of the country. So I would be very, very careful in investing in China. What we're doing is going into Hong Kong, which seems to be a little more open and able to get money in and out. But putting money into China, I think you have to be very, very careful.
Gordon and others are looking to India for a potential place for production away from China. What are your thoughts here? You still have a lot of companies traded every day in these major indexes like the MSCI, the Morgan Stanley Emerging Markets Index, that gears money, U.S. investor money, toward companies in China that may very well, likely, be tied to the Chinese military. Gordon?
Yes, and we're seeing a really change in investment attitudes. And part of it is because China's poor economic performance. They reported 3.0% GDP growth last year. But because they were fooling with the inflation numbers, it was more like negative 3%. But also the Chinese regime has been pushing companies out. And that, I think, accounts for Mobius's change of opinion. He was very bullish in October of last year. Now you can see that he's understood how bad things really are in China.
Yeah, and increasingly people are understanding the surveillance that is happening in China of the whole world. The Wall Street Journal this morning is reporting that China is going to be creating a new data regulator. We know that they're gathering lots of data on all of us. Your thoughts on this new data regulator? Also, by the way, the government in China is boosting its military spending by 7.25% this year in U.S. dollars. That's up nearly $16 billion from 2022. As the U.S. warns of a potential Chinese invasion of Taiwan in the near future, Gordon, interesting to see the importance that China puts in its military spending, whereas we're fighting over what to cut.
Yes. Well, the 7.2% increase it contrasts with the growth target of only around 5%. But people in China know that they're not going to really grow 5%. So that shows the increasing importance of the Chinese military in the political system. You contrast these numbers with those for 2022, where they had a 7.1% increase announced, and they only grew 3.0% as reported, and probably, as I said, contracted. So that shows the military is using its influence to get a larger and larger share of the resources of the Chinese regime.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to be watching this. Mike Gallagher was on the show recently, said he thinks that the invasion of Taiwan happens in 2024. That's the emergency year that he's worried about. Gordon, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. Thanks very much. You've been spot on all of this for so long. Gordon Chang joining us.
Thank you, Maria.